In Your Community. This is your co-host. We co-host on different days of the month to bring you great content from the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce across our county and some great business tips. My name is Liz Ramos with Authentic Lifestyle Designs. And today we're kicking off a lot of the content for October. And October reminds me of harvest time in your business, right? So what is it that you are possibly harvesting in this new quarter that we've kicked off? So a little bit about history, right? We always kick off our show with what's going on with a day in history, and we have others joining us here in a few moments. But a pretty cool day, October 14th. A few years ago, just a few, 1964, Martin Luther King Jr. was the youngest person at that point in time to be awarded a Nobel Peace Prize at the time. He was 35 years old, so I'm not sure what history has in store after those years in terms of the record for the youngest person, but at that time, Martin Luther King Jr., who had followed the person who created so much influence for him, Gandhi, with his nonviolent ways of protesting. And so in that same year, he made two really impactful things in Congress. One of the ones that still comes to light today that many of you probably don't think of, but it is a month that we'll be talking about employment and human resources, which is a major law, is the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which followed a ton of the federal laws that we follow as business owners and employers for non-discrimination. It started off with race and has since then expanded. But I'd like to have some conversation about the topic, so I want to welcome your president of the Hispanic Chamber, Johnny. How are you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Come on over.
Let me just grab a seat.
We're
right
excited to have him visiting today. I know he's been sharing a lot about it, exciting things that are happening for our membership this month in October. So welcome, Johnny.
Thank you. I got my notes here. We're talking about Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Great person, great visionary, and nothing bad to say, except that it looks like he donated his prize money, huh?
Hey, I did highlight that exactly. True to his word and to his cause, and in line with what he preached. So yeah,
Yes.
54,000 in 1964, which sure was quite a bit of cashola. $54,000 that he donated. $54,000
Yes,
that he donated.
He's a great guy.
Yep.
Yes.
So that I thought that was
Great
the
guy.
coolest piece of history there for today that we wanted to share with you. And as always, kind of taking it somewhat back to basics. As always, kind of tips that we wanted to share with you, and very much some tips that I found on Inc. magazine that could apply to anybody. It doesn't matter what your business is. These are things that you can do offline in your relationship with other people. So the title of the article was "Every Customer Wants These 5 Things." And as a business owner, you should know what those 5 things are and what you can give. And what I found interesting was that, especially with small business, we do business based off of relationship.
Exactly. Relationship value is a key factor. For me in the insurance business, that's really tough. But we try to distinguish that based on, our, and I don't want to give it away, responsiveness, service. And of course, being able to touch base with your clients. And the 5 tips, the 5 things that people look for, it's very simple. It's sometimes I think it's common sense, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I had to throw that out the door, out the window once in a while. Every time I would think, isn't it common sense? But we have talked about how everyone's wired differently, and sometimes we just get caught up so much in the delivery of the service. I think that's why this article caught my attention. Is we get so caught up in the technical aspect of what we deliver, and of course, whatever service it is that we provide our product, it solves a specific problem, and that's something that the customer is looking for. But then, how do we again take it back to maybe why they started working with us in the first place, or what you can give? Because most likely, there are a lot of people who can do something similar or solve the problem with a similar product or service, or something slightly different. So, how do you take it back to the relationship piece?
That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So let's go through a few of these. First one, excellence. Very simple. So these are, I said, back to basics. So excellence. So doing your best with everything you do. And I know one thing that it reminds me of whenever none of us are perfect, right? When I think of some of my service providers, is are they excellent at the core function that I need them to deliver for me? I'm not sure if that makes sense. So whatever it is, the main thing, or do I know that they're working their hardest for me in whatever it is that I'm paying them for? And I use the example of, I don't know, real estate investment, which I happen to have a passion for my property managers. You have a lot of things to do under that hat. Like, there are a lot of things. So if I can trust that you're doing the best with my properties and managing, if you will, the finances of that well, and you're doing that piece to your excellence, then I'm a happy camper.
The article puts it the best. He says customers want you to give them your best at whatever you do. Note, they want your best, not the best. That to me says that people come to you because of you, and then they want to see you, or not you in particular, but
They
you
want to
as
see me.
they want to see you, they want to see me, and they want to see you at your best. Not they don't have to have the best car. They want to see to make sure that you have the best ability to fix that car. So that's an interesting note that he put.
And the fact that the best is a variable bar, right? So whatever the best might be might be different,
Right.
by what we value the most.
Exactly.
That's exactly it. Some people, if you think of the best, are looking for the best price. Some people are looking for the highest quality service. But whatever it is that they measure the bar, it's in your relationship. Are you giving them the best of yourself? And that's a big thing, and a little, I'll say an intention in the morning, and sometimes when I know I'm heading into a stressful day, is kind of a serenity thought of reflection of, let me serve my customers the best way that I can today, and knowing that we can give them your excellence. So are you giving them excellence of yourself?
Excellence of yourself. And number 2, we have consistency. Well, what does it mean to be consistent? We got to be doing what we say you do. That's one thing that my boss always says. We do what we say we're going to do, and we're going to keep doing it the way we are going to do. Of course, make a little tweaks of changes here to make it the best, but we do it consistently.
My own summary. So I love this piece, and I'll share kind of my reflection on it. It says, it's pretty crazy. Things are busy. People have a lot of things going on, your customers' lives. And I like this quote. It said, it makes you a haven in the midst of craziness. Right? So I remember my massage therapist. I love her kind of way of connecting with clients, where she says, sometimes we don't have time to take a big vacation or a big break that we need in the middle of the craziness. But if I can give my customers an hour of peace and like consistency in that little haven, then it goes such a long way. And do you when people leave you, do they feel better at the end of meeting with you than they did before? So how do we leave people feeling about themselves and about what's going on in their lives with the consistency that you provide in that space that you have?
Right. Familiarity of your product or your service, and the continuous service that is what they're looking for.
Exactly, because things are usually changing very much, and I think change kind of equates to lack of peace, if you will, or having to be on your toes because things are constantly changing.
Right.
So if they can just kind of let their guard down because they know that they're going to have the consistency with the products or service, or really with your interaction, with the interaction that they have with you. And a lot of it comes across in just in our demeanor with them and how we treat them.
Right. Oh, I guess we'll go to number 3, attention. This is one thing that I feel that it's people really, really look for. They want to be served. In this world, it's all about me, right? Well, not me, but it's all about the self.
It is.
It's all about the self. It's W. What's that saying? Whiff'em. What's in it for me? Well, every consumer and every client out there is what's in it for me. But if as a business owner, if you give that little bit of attention and consistently and to your best, they're going to want to look at you and say, okay, I'm going to do business with you. And that's one thing that's very important. And I'll revert to my business in the insurance business. If I get a message and I can't answer it, within the hour, I say, hey, I'll respond back either by email or even pick up the phone. Say, hey, I don't have the answer right now. Let me get back to you within an hour. That's people don't want to hear a silence, or they don't want to. They want to hear from you. there's a reason why they want to hear from you. They need their problem solved.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Johnny, because when I think of attention the way it's described here, you can respond to their needs if you're listening. And I think that's kind of the big thing. Are you listening? And that huge piece of communication, which often we can all lose sight of and kind of focus more on what we need to say and share and what comes out of our mouth rather than just listening and acknowledging. The way you mentioned, I so appreciate when I get an email back saying, you know what, I will be able to get to this in 48 hours, but I just know I feel heard, and I think that's huge in attention to detail and relationships. So I'm glad that you brought up that example.
I use it all the time. That's why it's like, that's part of my routine.
I like it. So that's a good tip out there in case it isn't something that you do, or if someone on your team or your staff handles your customer service for you. It's a great way of making sure that the customer feels like you're paying attention, and in your conversations with them, kind of anticipating what are some of their future needs. Maybe they're not asking you very directly, hey, can you do this? And oftentimes that's part of the attention as you hear what's going on in their lives, and it might not be aware, it might not be what you do for your service. It might be somebody else that but if you care and you're giving that attention, then just by listening, you might be able to offer services or just a suggestion of a colleague or another resource that has nothing to do with what you do in your business.
Exactly. So that is a great point. I think that should be number one. But these are actually all these five. Just looking at it, they're all top priorities. I don't know how you can categorize 1 through 5. Actually, I don't even think there is an order. But number 4, the author states empathy to the other person's perspective, and I think that still falls back into the attention. You're listening to that person, how they feel, and you want to help them solve that problem. One classic way of responding, and this is learned, is I'm sorry to hear what you're going through. How can I help? Or I'm sorry that this happened to you. Let me see if I can take care of it for you. And that's what people want to hear. Let me help you take care of it.
Yeah, it's true that you're paying attention, and sometimes the way you express that might be different.
Mm-hmm.
I have to laugh because I was just having a conversation with a client yesterday. We were working on her strengths, and one of her top 5 was command. So I bring it up because it's related to this. She literally said to me, I do not have the capability of showing empathy. It's just not. It's probably one of her lesser talents. She brings strategy. She brings a lot of even keel and removing emotion from a situation so that she can make better decisions and provide recommendations. So it doesn't make us bad people, if you will, but sometimes we have to be a little bit more conscious about exactly that. So how could you lean or use different verbiage like that still expresses that you care, even if it's not natural for you to be super empathetic.
Right.
Some of the individuals who are high in execution and doers, we might lose sight of that sometimes. I know that I'm guilty of that sometimes as well. So just regurgitating or saying something that expresses the fact that you are listening.
Right.
That's a great point that you made of just saying, hey, I'm sorry that you're going through that. How can I help? And we have another great tip for you, but we will continue when we come back from our commercial break.
¿Pensando en regresar a la escuela? Descubre la gama de posibilidades que te ofrece la Universidad John F. Kennedy, que celebra 50 años de transformar vidas y comunidades.
Puedes completar tu título de licenciatura en negocios, estudios jurídicos, salud pública, periodismo y psicología, o tus estudios de posgrado. Tenemos becas y ayuda financiera para que apliques este verano y otoño. Contamos con asesores de admisión que hablan español y están disponibles para guiarle a través del proceso de tu solicitud.
Para más información visita www.jfku.edu o llame al 1-800-696-5358. ¿Necesitas asesoramiento con respecto a un caso de inmigración? Nos especializamos en todas las áreas del derecho migratorio. ¿Quieres conseguir tu estadía legal en el país? Solo hay una cosa por hacer. Llama al 415-777-4445. www.kpblawyers.com. Son tus abogados de confianza. Llama al 415-777-4445. Con oficinas en San José, San Francisco, Walnut Creek, Santa Rosa, Napa, Ukiah y Sacramento.
Are you in deportation proceedings? Do you have a friend in jail facing deportation? If the answer is yes, we will find the best avenue for you to obtain legal status in the United States. Contact Karosky, Purvis, and Bogue at 415-777-4445 or www.kpblawyers.com.
If you were ever a victim of domestic violence, robbery, or any other violent crime in the United States, and you reported it to the police, you may be eligible for a U visa.
Contact Karosky, Purvis, and Bogue at 415-777-4445 or www.kpblawyers.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to H5C In Your Community. Again, my name is Liz Ramos, and we are super excited to have Johnny Hong here, our president of the Chamber today. And we left off our last segment with sharing some back-to-basics tips that you can apply with your customers, and it's the top 5 things that your customers really want, regardless of what your service or product may be. So the quick recap here, we said number 1 was excellence, so the best that you have to offer as a person. Number 2 was consistency. Number 3, attention, so really helping them feel or making sure that they feel listened to. Empathy, that you're connecting with what's going on with their lives, what are their needs. And to top it off, perfectly well-rounded with number 5, appreciate.
I don't know how many times anybody, a company says thank you to their customers. I say thank you a lot. My email ends with a thank you, always. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for working with us. Or thank you for the business. That's really important. Thank you for the business. I hope to, connect with you soon. Appreciation shows a lot.
Yes, I love the key word here of serve. So to look for new ways to serve rather than ways to sell. I think whatever it is that we do, that's why we exist, because we're providing some type of service, and hopefully we're all reminding ourselves that that's the reason that we have a business, whatever it might be. We're serving someone else. So how can we serve? And it's a huge reminder for me, actually, I will admit, on my to-do list, my top priorities for this week, one of them that I received as a reminder last week at a different business event was the thank you cards that I'm not amazing at doing. Just in general, some people have a really great habit. Think about it, even when you go to a gathering, a party, something of sending out thank you cards for attendance, for a gift, for what have you. I always thought that was a really cool habit. And honestly, it just isn't something culturally in my family, what have you, that I say thank you verbally, but not so much in notes. And so last week, that's one of my to-dos, and it is Tuesday, so I still have plenty of week left. But sending some thank you cards once in a while for whatever, for the business, for the relationship, for their trust to your customers. So making sure that they feel
It's a really. It takes a little bit of I write thank you cards, and it just takes a few moments. I mean, my handwriting is sloppy. There's sometimes the crossouts and scribbles, but it shows that when you put the paper to the pen, it shows that you took the time to do it.
That's most important.
That's the biggest part, and that's what people see.
Exactly. That's the biggest part. So you can have someone else put the stamp and put it in the mail, but make sure it's handwritten
Make sure it's
inside, so that you took the time.
Well,
and
I'll even go more electronically. Even a little small thank you email helps as well. It just gives people a reminder. Oh, thank you. That you're there.
I will say, in the era of getting a bunch of junk mail and things that you're like, not for me, not for me. It's pretty cool though when you get something in the mail that's made out to you, and it's
and especially handwritten nowadays.
Exactly.
Nobody gets a handwritten note anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's exciting. I know. Last week I came home from a trip and I had, I don't know, I guess it's that season. It's not even summer, but invitations and things, and it feels good to get communications from friends and people.
Yeah.
So that rounds out the top 5 basic things. But again, sometimes we have a natural tendency to deliver or express ourselves in a way that is a little bit different. Maybe we're very action-oriented or focused on the quality of the product or service that we're delivering, the tangible, if you will, but how much are we expressing in these top 5 things in our relationship with our client base, and ensuring that they know it. Oftentimes we say, well, they already know it. I do my best with what I deliver, but making those connections.
I want to add, according to your, research on the Inc.com, the author Bob Berg, his book, Adversaries into Allies: Win People Over Without Manipulation or Coercion. And he just goes into your customers want the following 5 gifts.
Yes.
So these are things that people are actually really feel like they can have when they have a good solid relationship. So.
Yeah, and that they need. Needs are a huge thing with your staff, with anyone around you, really, that's important.
I think anyone you have a relationship with.
Everyone has some type of a need, and they're somewhat different, so it's good to know them. So
Exactly.
thank you for pointing that out. Yes, Bob Berg is the author of the book that the person who did a summary on the article wrote. So if you like some of those top things or want to read a little bit more depth into it, then it's a book you definitely want to pick up.
Great advice. Thank you.
So that takes through some of our business tips. So we are really excited to have Donnie here with us because he is usually with us he used to be on a bi-weekly basis, actually. You didn't get off. It's every week. And a few months ago, he's been busy, and we've been partnering, and I'm a member of the membership committee, as I've mentioned before. So myself and a few other co-hosts have been running the show, but we're really excited to have him with us.
And we appreciate you guys, taking over the show. And there's a lot of things happening in the chamber, that I want to share, and especially go over, why do we have a chamber of commerce?
Yes.
Why should we be
Why
part
is
of the
that,
chamber?
Johnny?
I'll explain it once we come back after this
When
break.
we come back from a commercial break, we'll hear more from updates from our president.
¿Pensando en regresar a la escuela? Descubre la gama de posibilidades que te ofrece la Universidad John F. Kennedy, que celebra 50 años de transformar vidas y comunidades.
Puedes completar tu título de licenciatura en negocios, estudios jurídicos, salud pública, periodismo y psicología, o tus estudios de posgrado. Tenemos becas y ayuda financiera para que apliques este verano y otoño. Contamos con asesores de admisión que hablan español y están disponibles para guiarle a través del proceso de tu solicitud.
Para más información visita www.jfku.edu o llame al 1-800-696-5358. ¿Necesitas asesoramiento con respecto a un caso de inmigración? Nos especializamos en todas las áreas del derecho migratorio. ¿Quieres conseguir tu estadía legal en el país? Solo hay una cosa por hacer. Llama al 415-777-4445. www.kpblawyers.com. Son tus abogados de confianza. Llama al 415-777-4445. Con oficinas en San José, San Francisco, Walnut Creek, Santa Rosa, Napa, Ucaya y Sacramento.
Are you in deportation proceedings? Do you have a friend in jail facing deportation? If the answer is yes, we will find the best avenue for you to obtain legal status in the United States. Contact Kurosky, Purvis, and Bogue at 415-777-4445 or www.kpblawyers.com.
Welcome back to H5C In Your Community. We're here having a great time catching up. It's been a while since I got to see Johnny and give him some of my loving harassment. I do call it loving, but we're excited because in that taking it back to basics, we were having a conversation about the broader service that the chamber provides to all of you, all of our membership, and we were kind of talking about the mission and all of that, and want to hear from Johnny some of that.
Well, the mission of the chamber, and thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I miss this place, but there's so much work to do out there, and I need to spread the message. I need to make sure that people understand why we have a chamber of commerce. First and foremost, 25 years ago when the founding fathers originally put the Chamber of Commerce together was to make sure that the minority business owners, especially the Hispanic business owners, have a voice. Have a voice where? Have a voice at the local government level. Have the voice within each other so they can do business with each other, and also have a voice within the state government level. So, at the first, and I'll try to explain our mission because it is a whole paragraph long. The Chamber of Commerce, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, their mission is to provide valuable business opportunities within the Contra Costa region, and especially with an emphasis on cultural awareness, education, and available resources within the Contra Costa community, and especially in the Hispanic community overall. Now, that's pretty broad, so let's dissect that.
Dissect it, yeah, I love it.
Business opportunities. What are business opportunities? Business opportunities are really a way for people to, gather at either a function or an event and be able to talk business and comfortably. I know a lot of people, when they try to join a group, I'll use church as an example. People like to go to church because they want to fill their spirit, but they also want to talk about what they do at the same time. But sometimes people don't want to hear that. What do you do? And it sounds, sometimes it can come out salesy. So, the chamber has a great platform to, come together and talk about your business, shamelessly. Sometimes, people love to talk about their business because they're proud of it, or they need to make, ends meet or whatever you want. But it is an opportunity for business and for business owners and to converse. And of course, it can get personal at times because you want to get to know your clients, and that's where getting to know people really helps. The emphasis part on the Contra Costa community, because we are a county-wide chamber, we want to make sure that, one, the Hispanics culture and overall culture is exposed. Not just the Mexicans or the Salvadorans, but we also have Peruvians, Argentinians, and even Asians here. But everybody's welcome. But the cultural awareness of the Hispanics, is very important for us, as well as the education. Now, education is a huge topic. And we're not just talking about education of the business owners solely. We're also talking about the education of the community. Our education conference that's coming up in November, and I'll talk about that later on in the next segment. We invite over 300 students in the Mount Diablo region, in the Contra Costa region, and it's not just Mount Diablo Unified. It's also Pittsburgh, Brentwood, Antioch, all the way to West Contra Costa, and we bring them to narrow the achievement gap. We want to make sure that our young students in this region get the proper resources and the proper connections so they can become our future leaders and productive in the workforce, because that's what drives the economy going.
So very much a value of service back and forth between the business owners that are members of the chamber and our broader community, whether it's in our local governments, whether it's the community at large in education, students, all of that. I know for myself, I haven't hit my 1-year anniversary yet, but I have enjoyed being involved with the chamber in different areas. What are some of the ways, those different forums in which members can benefit or be involved
Okay.
to fulfill the mission, because it's a collective effort,
Yeah,
right? It's we're a nonprofit.
We're a nonprofit. We are a membership base. So actually, the collective members have a voice in what the chamber wants. And based on a survey that we did 2 years ago, our biggest response and biggest opportunity for business is our mixers. And that's what people like. People like to get together, have a little bit of good time, good food, good company, and talk about what they enjoy to do, what they enjoy the most, which is operating their own business and enjoying their life at the same time. So, again, this is not something that I came up with. This was a survey that was done 2 years ago amongst the membership poll. And, the mixers are really super important because it brings them all together and they can talk about business.
And of course, there's periodic times when we do surveys. I know this year, as I've attended some of the mixers, we've passed some of that around, and your feedback is always welcome, as it is based on membership. What are some of the ways you mentioned education? So tell us a little bit about the committees to share out with everybody, or how members can get involved and benefit most from their membership.
Right. So the committees are the first, I guess, the first layer of involvement. Well, besides becoming a member and attending the events, being involved is a whole separate animal, or if that's the right word. It's a whole separate idea or concentration or way of thinking. Because you remember, it's like gym. You go there, participate. But when you become into a committee, that's when you actually have people around you and you start putting things together, start brainstorming a program or a function that you work on together to make it nice and big. And we have the membership committee, for instance. Memberships is outreaching to new members and talking to old members. For the folks in this, for business owners and for the folks in the sales force, that's a great way to meet people. And what easier way to meet people than talking about membership for the chamber? You're not, it's not really selling, but it's also getting them involved as well. And then you can get to know the folks within that part. Another great committee is our education conference committee. Where we actually, again, we're our directive is for the Latino youth and high school students within this region. Another committee.
Sorry to interrupt. Does the education committee also get involved with the workshops that we offer in the business education?
No, that's a different committee as well. The business education series. The business education series is our series to help our small business owners either start, maintain, or grow their business on all sorts of different topics, within their business operation. And these workshops are focused on a particular topic, either social media or the one that's coming up, focused on HR. And really, HR is so broad that we need to make it more narrow into a workbook, a workshop for the employee handbook. So those business topics, the business education committee is also a great way to get to know business owners as well, and to help develop the program and to bring in new topics that may affect a business owner. Another great committee that I'll talk about is our government affairs. How cool is it that we have a good relationship with our local mayors and our local assemblymen? And guess what? I've always said this before. The business owner that's ahead of the curve and understand that when a law is going to come, he or she is going to be more prepared on getting that implemented and be able to be ahead of the curve than all the other business owners. And of course, avoiding fines and penalties.
To be responsive. Reactive.
Exactly. And also, it also is a great platform to express their opinions about a particular law that may be passed. I'll tell you one law that was recently passed is the statewide plastic bag ban. Are people thrilled about it? Not really.
I've seen some of those signs as I'm out shopping lately, and
Yeah.
type of thing. I will say, from a member perspective, to have that forum, it's a good go-to place as a business owner, rather than having to be out in the broader world of all the news going on, and something that's relevant to us as business owners in our business.
Right. And there's so many other laws that I have a whole 5 pages if we can go through, and it'll take more than an hour. But we do take positions on particular bills with that's happening within the state of California.
How it affects business.
Exactly.
Very good. Well, we're going to keep hearing some updates, and there are a lot of amazing events happening in this month of October and November for you to be aware of and take advantage of as part of those benefits. And we'll tell you all about them when we come back from our commercial break.
I can talk about more other things.
That's right.
Hey, yo, Romeo, talk to him.
¿Pensando en regresar a la escuela? Descubre la gama de posibilidades que te ofrece la Universidad John F. Kennedy, que celebra 50 años de transformar vidas y comunidades.
Puedes completar tu título de licenciatura en negocios, estudios jurídicos, salud pública, periodismo y psicología, o tus estudios de posgrado. Tenemos becas y ayuda financiera para que apliques este verano y otoño. Contamos con asesores de admisión que hablan español y están disponibles para guiarle a través del proceso de tu solicitud.
Para más información visita www.jfku.edu o llame al 1-800-696-5358. ¿Necesitas asesoramiento con respecto a un caso de inmigración? Nos especializamos en todas las áreas del derecho migratorio. ¿Quieres conseguir tu estadía legal en el país? Solo hay una cosa por hacer. Llama al 415-777-4445. www.kpblawyers.com. Son tus abogados de confianza. Llama al 415-777-4445. Con oficinas en San José, San Francisco, Walnut Creek, Santa Rosa, Napa, Ucaya y Sacramento.
How you doing? I'm Johnny, the president of the Hispanic Chamber, and Liz, our radio host, strength finder, strength coach, authentic lifestyle designs.
Got it.
And we're back talking about the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So
The whole reason why we're here.
the whole reason why we're here, we talked about involvement and engagement of the members. Members, obviously, we start with the membership application, and it goes through a process where you become approved and you start attending events. Next thing you know, if people want to get involved, they should become an ambassador. I think that's the next step. Become an ambassador of the chamber. The ambassador is really the first line of people that most new people see. And that's where you can start, getting involved and greeting people. And one thing I tell ambassadors, again, it is a great way to meet new people because it lets people's guards down, and you can talk about chamber. And this is the way I started is, being the ambassador, I say, hi, how you doing? Welcome to the chamber event or chamber mixer. How can I help you? Well, what are you looking for? Or what kind of business are you in? Can I help you with identifying a power partner? And we use, the words referral partner, power partners a lot because we want, we truly want to help people gain business. And I think that's, a great first step for a lot of new members to think about in going into ambassadorship. After ambassadorship, then you can hop into committees, different committees that we talked about membership, we talked about business education, the community education portion, the government affairs. We also have big programs, or major programs like the Women of Success Expo and Conference.
Amazing conference.
Next year, we're going to have elections night because it is a membership. And so we're going to reach out to our members for elections and to seek our new board and new leaders of the chamber. And whoever the leader is going to take that into a direction that they feel is appropriate based on the mission of the chamber. So after being on the committee, you can serve on committee chairs, and of course a lot of people think it's volunteer time. Sure, it's volunteer time, but do you volunteer at a church? Do you volunteer at a school? If you don't, chamber is a great place to volunteer. But if you have other commitments, that's great. We want people to be out there in the community.
Well, I think it's about building the relationships that allows people to get to know you and what you do and to leverage. Right?
To leverage.
However that might be.
Right, exactly. And after serving a chair, being part of the leadership direction of the chamber is one, it's a great title to have. Two, it looks great on the resume. Three, they know that you are working to better the organization and better the community. So it's great recognition all around.
Very good. So any cool things that are happening these days? There's a lot going on. Any highlights you'd like to make about what's going on, how our members are being served? Any cool stories that maybe you hear of as a president that we don't?
Well, the stories that we hear, on a board level and versus a member level, obviously we're so involved at the board that there's so many different things that we do. Like I'll go through the whole calendar of the year. In March we do our women's history presentation with the women's conference. In the summer we have the Festival of Latin Culture. That was a all day, which was recent.
If you
and was
attended, you got a
huge.
survey.
Mhm.
A survey went out to give some feedback.
Right. It's a nice big party on the park, and it was a great time. We also have our government affairs. This year we met Eric Swalwell, Congressman Eric Swalwell. We met with Jim Frazier. We went up to Sacramento. We had breakfasts with all sorts of mayors and assemblymen. So it's a great way to get to know these people and to engage. Community engagement is important, not just for the members, but it's also important for the politicians too, because they know that there are people out there that still care about what is happening in this world. And of course, I'm going to talk about our flagship education conference, our Narrowing the Gap, because again, being that we live in a community that's striving to make themselves better, we need to make sure that we give them the right resources to make them better.
And I mean, for employee base, right? So a lot of what we give back, both community, but also strategically as business owners that seek employees and people to support and help you grow your business. It's another way that you can start to give back at that level.
Right, exactly, and it's workforce. I'll use the word workforce development loosely, but it's educating our community. It's education. Education is power, and we know that the more educated the person is, the better the leader they're going to become. So, as far as members, wanting, what's in it for the members?
Yeah.
That's really
What's in it for you?
What's in it for the members? Why should people join the chamber? Well, one is because you want to do business. You want to do business. You want to be able to do business in California. You want to be able to understand the laws and regulations within California, and to be able to access information that you really can't by yourself. You can do it. It takes a little bit of digging, but the resources that we have at the chamber, it just either a simple phone call.
The
or
reality
email.
is that's probably the amount of time that it takes. That's what I was mentioning earlier. It's to get your voice heard at a level, to get the education that you need to grow your